What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to another episode here on the MC Eternal tutorial series. In today's video, we're going to be going over what I would say is the best early game design for a reactor. So let's say this is your first time messing with nuclear craft and you want to get a nice reactor that you can put down and leave alone, and it'll generate a pretty good amount of power for your world. And this is something that you can just put it. You will need to get fuel for it, but we will cover all of that in a little bit. Some of the things you're going to need, well, all of the things you're going to need are fission controller, fission reactor casing, a fission reactor port. You're going to need one of these respectively. So just one fission controller and one reactor port. And then you're going to need quite a few reactor casings. If we go into here, we can take a look at the recipes because they are a little bit different. Most of the stuff you're going to need to find in the beneath. As you can see, basic plating, tough alloy, right? So how do we make tough alloy? Let's go through the JEI for ferroboron and lithium. Okay, so should be noted, you can grow lithium. So if you haven't already seen our series on how to grow everything, I'll link it down below. But you can craft yourself some lithium seeds and get one of these set up to grow lithium. So if you're in short supply, go down to the beneath, gather a little bit of lithium, and then as soon as you can, craft those seeds. And it's going to be the same for all of these. I'll go ahead and explain everything because you should be able to grow all of this stuff. So tough alloy, ferroboron, which is going to be steel and boron. You can grow boron and you can also grow steel. So all of this stuff can be grown. You do have to process it yourself unless you can find a way to automate it. But you shouldn't be running low on any of these supplies. Let's see. Here for the basic plating, you need graphite dust and lead. Graphite is just if you take some, you can also grow graphite, it should be noted. You can just grow this as soon as you get your hands on it. But if you want to see how you get graphite, you basically will smelt graphite dust. You just smelt it, it's easier. And then to get graphite dust, if you just take coal and put it in a pulverized coal in a manufactory, will give you graphite dust. Or alternatively, no, looks like you have to use a manufactory from nuclear craft. So you're going to need one of these, and you put coal in it, and it's going to pulverize your coal. Or you could put pulverized coal in a pulverizer. Alternatively, these can work a little bit faster, I'm sure, with the upgrades that you should have. And then you'll get pulverized coal. You pop that in a nuclear craft manufactory, and you'll get graphite dust. Then you can craft your graphite. I think you need 4 to craft the crafting seeds. So you can get your hands on a bunch of this stuff with relative ease after you do a little bit of setup with infrastructure. But once you do have your hands on it, this is how we're going to set up our nuclear reactor. So you can see we've gone down and we've dug in 3. And I do want to point out that the sides here are dirt. So you do 3, 3, 3, 3 on all of the faces. It is very crucial that you do not have casings like so. You just want the faces. So be sure that you build the dimensions like this. And you can make this bigger or smaller. I just think it's easiest when you're first starting out to build something small like this. Then we're going to go like so. You don't actually need all of these casings because what we're going to do is whack out one. We're going to put our fission reactor controller and then whack out another one. And we're going to have this. This is where our power is going to be output. So let's go ahead and get a flux plug here. And this is going to take energy from the reactor itself and send it to our network. Cool. And then if we right click here, you can see no fuel, cells equals 0. So we're going to need to pick a fuel. The fuel of choice for getting started out for me has always been TBU fuel. So how are we going to get our hands on TBU fuel? Basically, you take thorium-232. How do we get this? Clumps of thorium-232. How do we get this? Let's find it here. No, not the decay hastener. Here, there's a machine. We just gotta find it. Isotope separator. So what we're gonna do is take our thorium ingots, and we're going to put it into the nuclear craft isotope separator. So you're going to need to build one of these. And then if you're wondering how to get your hand on thorium ingots, well, guess what? Guess what, everyone? You can grow them. So with our episode on how to grow everything, it's going to make your life a ton, and I mean a ton easier. This is pretty much an endless supply of TBU fuel, so you will never run out. I have stacks and stacks and stacks of this stuff laying around, and the cool thing is that once it's depleted inside of here, you can actually find, you can separate that and repurpose it, so you can make more fuel from your depleted fuel. It's pretty nice. But really quick, let's go ahead and throw some of this in here so you can see how it's going to work. So TBU, 0 RF per tick, 0 heat per tick. So when designing a reactor, each of these reactor cells is going to generate heat. So if we were to just throw a bunch of reactor cells in here next to each other, this is going to generate a ton of heat and a ton of power. And oh, whoops, quickly show you all that. So boom, we're going to be generating 32,000 RF per tick, but 7,452 heat per tick. So what's going to happen is we're going to generate a bunch of power really fast, and then our heat is going to go up, and it is going to melt down our reactor. So meltdown is the last thing you want. It's going to spawn in some like gray looking lava stuff, and it's going to kill you instantaneously from radiation poisoning. So I would recommend that you build this pretty far away from your base. You're going to get radiation. I would suggest, you know, a couple of chunks out, and because you don't want to get radiation. It's going to give you weakness. It will kill you eventually. It's a slow death. It's not fun. Also, we should point out these are reactor cells, and we're going to be making use of cryothium coolers. So if we look at the recipes for these, a cryothium cooler is going to be an empty cooler, which is made with steel and tough alloy. So you should be able to grow all of this. We've already went over it. And then cryothium dust is BLIZZ powder, redstone, and snow. And if you don't know how to get BLIZZ powder, you can check out the video that we have linked down below on how to farm BLIZZ powder automatically. It's very nice. It'll make your process when you're coming up with a reactor design a lot easier. So we're going to be using cryo coolers, and then if we just look at reactor cell here, it's going to be any glass and tough alloy. So very easy stuff to get your hands on. Now, the way I like to design these reactors is I will put some cryo coolers like so, and you can always play with this. And then we put more reactor cells like that. I put one cryo cooler in the middle. With this design, it is not the most optimal, I'll be honest. There is a little bit of room that you could work around with when it comes to heat. We'll have negative heat and about, like, I think negative 200 to 300 heat. Yeah, so negative 244 heat. So you could optimize this a little bit better, right? It could work harder for you. But 11,000 RF per tick is not nothing to you know, wag your finger at. It's pretty nice. It's pretty good. And if we, you know, scale this up a little bit, I designed this one over here for a 7x7 reactor, and that's going to take like I want to say 188 cells and maybe like 50 something. I have it written down here somewhere. So 155 cryo coolers and 188 cells. If you build yourself a 7x7 and lay it out like so, those are all just going all the way down except for this last one. We have one cryo cooler. You can get yourself up to 144,000 RF per tick. So depending on how big or how small you want to make this, I've just found that these small ones are great to kind of, you know, dip your toes into the nuclear craft world. And the last thing we're going to need to do to cut this bad boy on is get a lever. Whoops. And as you can see, power is being generated. Oh yeah, baby. No heat. And you can see, we have no heat. That's beautiful. And basically, now if we come over, we're not pulling enough power, but our flux network that we have over here, if we check our network connections, one of these plugs is going to be our nuclear reactor that is pumping in loads of power for us. So very sweet. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what you want to see next, and I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's day. Peace.